We're gonna have a lot of fun. I heard from Todd at Loma Vista when I called him today, so he's definitely out and about at work today. So he's probably right about now on his way home, almost to the house.
That or he's cooking dinner again.
Oh yeah, that's Tuesday night thing for him.
Yeah. Man's got to eat.
The man's got to eat. So he cooks on Tuesdays and eats what he cooks on Tuesday for Tuesday and Wednesday. Then he cooks on Thursday for Thursday and Friday. And then I think he gets something out to eat on Saturday, maybe.
There you go.
But bachelor life, you know.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
So, sold some honey tonight there, Bob. Alan and I, we did a honey delivery there yesterday. So.
Well, I posted up a picture of the strawberry creamed honey on Facebook, and he always buys honey from me anyway. But he's like, "Ooh, strawberry honey. Can I come get some?"
Nice.
Well, sure you can.
Nice.
You know, so he came and got some of that, and then just a regular 1 pound squeeze bottle tonight. So $20.
There you go.
Alan
and I delivered what would it be? 120 gallons yesterday.
I don't even have 120 gallons left.
I might have enough to fill a case of honey back here behind me.
I've got about a little over half a case of pints in my kitchen, and I've probably got another half case in the warmer, and a bunch of hot honeys and a bunch of 1 pounders.
There's Todd there.
So I've got a bunch of cream honey left. So,
and then I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 cases of honey in the back of the truck for delivery here in Edmonton and Calgary. So
making the money.
Trying to get that bank account back up out of the red.
Oh, I've given up on that.
I'm not sure why I hate the color red so much when I'm looking at the bank statement, but I've come to the conclusion I really don't like red.
That's the thing. I'm sitting on almost 8 full cases of Appy tablets. I've got probably 100 market pin sets, 300 bottles of lure. You know, I've got inventory.
There you go.
Now I just have to get rid of it so I can get some money.
You gotta like it. So I would talk to Dr. Stephen Purnell from the Beaver Lodge Research Center there on, I guess it would have been Saturday. So he did part 1 of a 2-part speech and info session, I guess you can say, out at the Sexsmith Sexsmith Library, of which we had a really good turnout. So Sexsmith is a small town just outside the Grand Prairie, but we ended up with people from Beaver Lodge and Sexsmith and Grand Prairie and everything all show up. And he's also talking down here at the BTEC conference in Calgary. But I was asking him about the Appy tablets, and from what he can tell, there's no reason as to why we couldn't import those, and there's no reason as to why we couldn't use them on the hives. The only thing that he did is because of the thymol and stuff, he would not recommend them on there during the honey supers or with the honey supers.
Yeah, and it also says that on the package, not for use during honey flow. But Dancing Bee got 10 cases of them, so
there you go.
They have them up in Port Hope.
So I got to get a hold of Monmet, and now that we've kind of got that green light, I'll probably be looking at placing my order. So,
well, just place it for me.
Well,
they're the same price.
I can do that. I can do that too. Just I guess it'll come down to the shipping. So
Well,
anytime I can
last
support you,
time
of
you
course I
shipped
would,
them.
Bob.
So yeah, cool. Just let
So
us know.
that was some good news.
Yeah, it's it seems like a lot of people in Canada are interested in trying it. Just off of what I saw with and it was hard to see, right? I gotta pretty much take Brad's word of what he saw because it was so dark in his building. But he put them on the colonies that you took over there, and on 10 of them, but he could only see 4 of them because they were the ones that he could actually reach, in his stacks there. And 2 of them had it and 2 of them didn't. And they were all alive, but the 2 that had it were a little bit, seemed larger from the top of the frame down, right? So that's a good sign. He said, first
Well,
thing.
it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. The only oh, go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, go ahead there, Bob.
No, you just kind
I
of
was
blinked in
just
and
gonna say,
out.
the only thing that I haven't put any. Oh, I haven't put any in the hive yet. But my question
Think you're in a bad spot, James.
Underneath all the way. So that was my only concern when I saw how thick they were. Whether they're going to fit in there or not.
They are a little proud. So with Brad, Brad has a little standoff on his lids. I guess a little shim built onto his lid.
Yeah.
So it was fine for him in that aspect. So, and a regular inner cover fits on him fine. So if so you should probably be fine.
Right on.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Perfect. What else have I done? So I'll be stopping off at Global Patties here this trip, picking up my patties for the spring. So we phoned down and placed our order for that. So I was surprised to find that they managed to sneak my order in there. But I was surprised to find that they're pretty much booked up until the end of May already. So
I bet.
I mean that they're doing well, but anybody that hasn't got their order in might be hurting a little bit.
Well, you get a pallet?
What did we get? 600 pounds.
Yeah, it's a pallet of, if you're buying it by the 40-pound box, I think.
Yeah, 40-pound boxes is what we bought. The standard 15%. So.
Well, that sounds like a plan. How long is your trip to Calgary?
Well, I'm driving from Grand Prairie to Edmonton, so that's 4.5 hours. I'm doing that tonight. My truck is due for a service. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah.
Got to service my truck. So they're going to do that tomorrow morning. It's scheduled to go in there at 7:30 in the morning. Then as soon as they get that done, yes, it from Edmonton to Calgary is another, say, 2.5 hours.
You mean, James, this is JW down here. You sure you're not on that crotch rocket today?
He's got a little lag going.
Not today. So, yep.
Yeah, James, you're cutting in and out bad now.
Oh, it is only minus 3 degrees Celsius out here, and we got no.
Let me see.
Losing him.
Disconnected.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think he's gone this time.
So what you guys got going on in your neck of the woods?
Who, me?
Yep, you're the only one in the woods. Tom's out in the field over there, and so is JW.
Okay. Yep, I've been going in a few of the hives. I've got some of them that's busting 2 boxes wide open. Even got a couple of them with the top box full of honey, and building drone brood everywhere they can. I'm thinking about, because I'm not really ready to pull any of that honey off and use it somewhere else, but I probably will. But I'm even thinking about maybe even throwing a 3rd box on there. There's some nectar coming in somewhere. It's kind of unreal. But think
Sugar
about throwing a
plant down the
3rd box
road.
on there instead of move it up.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of nectar coming in right now from something, and bunch of pollen, like lots of pollen in the frames. So I just kind of started adding the 2nd super and moving some brood up and dropping some empty comb down to let them lay and work it how they need to build some space. That little ground zero colony, it had like 3 or 4 slabs of brood in there, and so it's getting ready to pop off. I think I'm still seeing a lot of Carniolan genetics in my yard, because you can definitely tell my Italian colonies, they're like slammed. The Carniolans are like a nuke in a 10 frame box, right? Or one of them I got less than that even. So I think that it's starting to they're starting to ramp up, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Right beside those 2 that I were just talking about, I've got 2 more that's a little bit, they on the slow side. Back in summer, they were all the same size boxes, but now 2 of them is a little bit too big for a nuke box and not quite big enough for a 10 frame, but I just left them in the 10 frames anyway.
That's kind of what I was doing.
They do have nectar coming in and some good brood, so they fixing to start doubling in size pretty quick.
Well, I'm gonna start. Well, I did something that's really unadvisable this weekend, right? So I had
Bob.
Oh yeah, I had a deep and a medium, and it's your fault, James, because last year on the 28th of January, I got one of those remember your photos from last year, right? And on the 28th of January last year was when I had queen cells in that medium box, and we moved it over the double screen bottom board.
Oh yes, I remember that.
And this year, I was like, there's no queen cells in this medium, but there's tons of brood. So I shook the bees down. I added a 2nd deep. I put a queen excluder, and I put that medium on top. And so today's been 4 days. I went out there, and most of that brood that was in the top is uncapped and gone. So either it froze and they killed it, or they
I was just going to say you should have maybe put. I was going to say you should have maybe put the deep on top of that, but just put the queen excluder back on. That they would, they could hatch out in the way they'd go.
But they're they're looking good. The ones that have made it to this point are looking pretty good. I've got 2 or 3 that are just like, what are you guys doing? But the other ones are looking pretty good. So that might just be something where I can grab a frame of brood and some bees and drop them there and equalize them out and give them some more strength to get going. But we'll see. It's always a game time decision. Hopefully when I get back from Canada, I don't have like bee ornaments hanging from all my trees. just a bunch of bees, bunch of swarms hanging from my trees. I might set up some traps before I leave just to try to.
That's funny, but it ain't funny, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking to them at work about right now. I'm out in a big laydown yard, and it's nothing but sugarcane fields around us. But we keep on getting bees flying around, coming up in the cab with me. So I'm trying to get them to let me bring a couple of traps out there.
They'll probably let you do it. Trap them up.
I'm sure they would, because most of the people in the office buy honey from me. So more bees means more honey.
Yep.
It's been high 40s and low 50s here all week. My bees are flying strong. I was checking all my colonies, and I've been putting out, for better or for worse, I've been putting, I call them robbing stations, not feeding stations, but I've got out four pollens and three. I just put some, about 2.5 or 3-to-1 sugar syrup, and the other, and the bees are just working it like crazy. I put out a little video on YouTube, I think yesterday, to show it. I've just got bees flying everywhere up here.
How are your pollen feeders doing? Are they hitting those?
Oh yeah, big time. I use the AP 23 is what I'm using, but they're actually they're working the pollen stronger than they're working the sugar water.
Mine were bringing that in, and then they just stopped. They just shut off.
You're probably getting that pollen. I'm not probably yet too much. They're bringing in. It's hard for me to tell because they're bringing in some of that pollen from the robin stations. I see it's kind of light yellow, but every once in a while I see a bee going in with some kind of a gray pollen. I don't know what that would be. I have no idea.
Hey, that's Mr. Ed.
So,
hey, Mr. Ed, good to see you. I've got some red pollen coming in, and some different colors of yellow coming in. But we'll get that gray. I'm not sure where it comes from either. Gray and some like olive green color.
Yeah. My maples are just starting to show a little red. The buds aren't nearly mature yet, but
well, right now, this time of year for me, as it starts ramping up, they'll start bringing in so much pollen, they'll just backfill everything.
Yeah.
So I've got to keep making sure they've got enough room to keep laying in there, So
rob a couple of those frames, Bob, for when you start grafting. Let them fill that right up with pollen and then rob it on them. Take it away, and then you got that to drop right down beside your grafting frame.
Yeah, I've got a few drone cells. Sorry, a few drone cells in one of the colonies I checked today. I didn't go through all of them. I only went through like 3 or 4 of them, the bigger ones, and got some drones getting ready to hatch out. So it won't be long before we can start doing some grafts. I need to get up to up north there because Hope's got me a grafting table, and I've got to go grab it from him.
I killed a mite today.
You killed a mite?
I crushed him with the hive tool just like a hive beetle.
Willow pollen is great. Okay.
There you go.
That may be
a grafting table. Tell me you didn't buy a grafting table, Bob.
I didn't. He actually took your design and made one. And he said he made me one. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Perfect. I was going to say, if you bought one, I'd have to kick you if you didn't buy it for me.
Nope, I did not purchase one.
Well, my apiary that's right in the picture behind me is right beside a small lake or a big pond. I've got a lot of willows around it. So they're starting to show a little sign, but I wouldn't think they'd be actually producing pollen yet, but it might possibly be willow pollen. I'm not sure. So it's supposed to be 70 here Friday, and I've got 38 to try to get through. I'm sure I won't get through all of them, but I'm going to start digging in a little deeper, and see where I'm at see if I'm getting ready to load up and swarm. I'm starting to see a few drones. Are y'all seeing any drones around?
I've got some drone cells. That's about it right now.
I've seen just a few. I don't know if they were left over from winter.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. If they're leftovers that they didn't kill.
I was going to say, what the heck's wrong with you guys? I got 2 hives that are full of drones.
Got the temperature turned up, huh?
That's what we got right there on one of my frames. Kind of packing it in. But you see the reds mixed in there. And probably a lot of powdered pollen sub. But if it feeds them till they need it, I'm good to go on that. And they're eating the pollen patty that I've got on top here, so I made sure they have what they need.
Yeah.
Probably more than
Alex
what they
said.
need. So,
As
go ahead, James.
You're losing him again.
Yep.
But yes. Pretty nice slabs right there.
Yeah, I like that.
So they are working it.
I'll just be glad when this time changes. So whenever I get off work and get home, it's still daylight.
When does the time change?
I hadn't even checked
March
this year.
something. March 10th, maybe?
Sometime in March, but I won't say when.
Yep,
I've got a question for
Sunday,
y'all.
March the 10th.
With reference, you're talking about the drones. Are y'all using drone frames? You know,
I've got some, and I've never even been able, even when I've rolled fresh wax on it, I haven't been able to get them to draw them out.
Yeah.
So,
I've myself, I've incorporated Brad's story frame, and that works very well.
I like that story frame. I'm thinking about making some.
So, JW, if you don't know what the story frame is, basically it's just a deep frame, and you cut a foundation in half and put the foundation in the center.
Yeah.
And then it lets them build drones on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I've never done that, but
Good night, Jeff.
they'll grow out my drone frames, but I'm not been using them for preventing maintenance on the beetles.
And the good part is if they start filling it up with honey, then you can just cut it out for cut comb.
Yeah.
I've always put a totally foundationless frame in for drone. But
Yeah.
When I saw Brad with that story frame, I think I'm going to do something like that.
Well, I've got some of those in now, so I don't know, where they'll completely draw them out. I haven't been into them to see, so
They
I
should.
was hoping to draw at the bottom for the drones. I feel like I need a few more drones in my area, so I've been to Lowe's today. I'm buying woodenware to build more stands. I'm going to build another apiary. I'm going to build about a 15. As you can see, I got all my individual colonies on individual stands. So I'm building more stands to build another yard. I'm building another yard down the road about 3 miles. So
is that going to be your second yard or?
Well, it'll be my fourth one. I've got 3 now.
Okay.
They're small. This is my biggest one that you can see there. I've got 18 in that, and then I've got two more that's got 10 in them. I had 11 in one, but I lost a little old nuke. It just froze out on me. That's the only loss I've had this winter, though. But as I told you, I'm an ex-cattle guy. I've got quite a bit of ground around me. I'm fortunate, so I've all my yards are on my property, so I'm using some of my old cattle pastures and converting them over to bee pollination, yards. So, but like I said, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to spend money. I think I just do it for.
Oh, that's just beekeeping.
Yeah, that's.
Everybody here knows how to make a fortune, like a small fortune in beekeeping, don't you?
You got to start with a fortune.
You start with a big
fortune.
Become a millionaire in beekeeping. You got to start with $2 million.
Exactly, and know when to quit.
That's it. I've always spend more.
Mr. JW, do you plan anything for the bees?
Oh yeah, I plant a little bit of everything. I've got pollinator flowers. I plant buckwheat, and I've got sweet clover, and I've got Dutch white clover around, and I've got a lot of. I've got a little flower yard around. I've got a combination bee house, greenhouse that I use for my bees, and I've got a flower. I've got hyacinths and cosmos and that type of flowers around. But I'm in a farming community basically, and we got lots of soybean and that type of stuff. So, and a lot of cattle people, a lot of dairy farmers, and they raise a lot of red clover, which don't do the honeybees that much good. But I've got lots of clover around my area for.
I believe it's the red clover. They're a little bit too long for the bees to get the proboscis in.
Yeah, that's
but I
correct.
believe they said the crimson clover that they can get into a little bit.
Yeah,
the
there's a
ones that
crimson
look like the
red
little
also.
spears.
Yeah, we get those a lot here.
But the regular
What about
red
the
clover.
yellow clover?
Yeah, there's some.
Pass up all the clover to get the yellow clover.
Yeah. And there's quite a bit of alfalfa because we got a lot of dairy farms, but we're in marginal. We're really not in good alfalfa country. It's got to be cooler than what we are here to raise good alfalfa.
Yeah, the alfalfa is probably. Bees get nectar out of it, but they get tired of getting swatted. So
Yeah.
Been
They say
happy. I got no stings today, James. They were very nice
did you
today.
stay indoors?
No, I was working bees today. They
Right on.
they were just in a good mood today, I guess.
Well, I think you don't you still have one hot hive?
Yep, I didn't work that one.
Yeah.
You only have
I would
one
say-
hot hive?
One that's always hot. The other ones are kind of depends on the weather outside or something.
Yeah. Did you use your smoker?
No, not today. It's too windy.
Does Bob ever
You know,
use a smoker?
I was gonna say I'm starting to lean on the side that that one hot hive of yours. That's probably I was going to say the one hot hive would probably be one of the first ones I'd look at requeening, and then I think you would see a difference if you used your smoker regularly. I think you would see a difference in the attitude of your hives.
Well, I didn't even smell the alarm pheromone or anything, so it was pretty good day of beekeeping. It was enjoyable, to say the least, as compared to some days when you go out there and they're mean. It's not very fun when you're constantly trying to get them off your ankles and everywhere else. They were nice today.
Well, that's how it should be.
Oh yeah, that's how it should be. But my bees, they don't care for Canadians very much either.
Yeah, I know No, they don't. They don't like Canadians at all. Actually, the bug farmers' bees didn't like Canadians very much either. I lit up a stingometer when I stopped by to see him. So,
Happens to the best of us.
yep.
Tom, what you got going in your bee yard?
Been really busy. I'm working on my 2 monster bee hives. Got the 17 8 frames, 4x4, all drilled out, entrance holes. Now I just got to build the lids for each one of the 17. I been working on the other one, which is just going to be 3 34 frame hives, 16 or 17 on top of 17. And then I've been feeding 1-to-1 to external to all the hives because it's been up 50s and up to 60 later on this week. So I'm kind of starting to get ready for spring bee season.
You had me messed up, man.
Bee stuff.
You've been having me messed up because I've been going in there and I'm like, oh, Tom's got a new video. Oh, it's from 2021. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Well, somehow YouTube deleted like 20 of my videos and like 100 of my subscribers. They had some glitch or something. So I've been kind of restoring some of the old videos back.
Huh.
And I noticed some
Re-uploading.
other people had similar things happen to them. I think they had some upgrade or something and screwed things up.
You haven't been putting any girly photos or something on there, have you, Tom?
I just got all bee stuff. Well, I got one deer, a 10-point deer that I did that I took a video of the other day. That's about it.
I was going to say they're bee videos. They're all about the girls.
Yeah.
Right.
All but one. Well, one's a cemetery one. That one was taken down, and that was like one of the favorites.
What keeps happening with
Yeah.
me is people that I'm subscribed to, it'll go back to, I don't forgot what it's called now, but it keep me subscribed, but it goes back to where it doesn't actually send me the notification that they posted.
Right.
Yeah, I've
I
heard
find
that
at
too.
least one a week like that. Now, I don't know if it might be my fumble fingers messing with this phone and doing it, or YouTube's doing it.
I get that sometime where I'll be chatting with them. Oh, did you see my video? Nope. Didn't even get a notification on it. And then you look and it's my YouTube will show that I have like 30 notifications. But then when you click on it, those notifications go away and you have to like scroll through a bunch of random YouTube channels to find something that might have popped up. So I don't get them all the time. No, it's YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is it's a tough one. Keeping their numbers down is helpful with attitude as well. Yep, it helps with attitude. It doesn't help with honey or mating too much, but everything else it will. See. Highland Honey said lit the smoker yesterday but didn't use it. That's the other thing I've done in the past. When I was using it consistently, I would light it and I'd go to the first colony and use it and set it on that colony. And then by the time I got 10 colonies down, it was still on the first colony I had there.
As far as YouTube, I mean, it's to the point I'm having to go back through some channels that I've been sub to for a while and resub to.
Yeah. I know Dirt Rooster was one of the first when I started watching YouTube, and I've actually had to resubscribe to him twice already since 2015 or so. Personalized. That's what it says. Personalized. What does that even mean on
Well,
YouTube?
that's just to your so-called friends. When you're subscribed to, you want to hit. I think I'm telling him right on her, Lee. You're much more knowledgeable than I. I think you need to put punch the all ones.
Yeah, I click all.
Charlie's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
When I go back, it's on personalized again sometimes for whatever reason.
Well, you're like me. You've got too big of fingers. I hit the wrong buttons a lot of times. So
it could be it. Most of the time, everything's my fault anyway.
yeah, I know the feeling.
I've never been told my fingers are too big. I was
Yeah,
going to say, I've been told I've got too big of a head many at times, but never my fingers.
I think when I changed my name, then the account and all that, it screwed YouTube up temporarily.
Could have been.
Because at one time when I changed the name, one time I had two of me with the new name. It's like, how the heck did they do
all right,
that?
so you got to explain to me because I hear you say on the videos, it sounds like you're saying Macaberry bees.
Oh, Macapary bees.
Oh, Mac apiary bees. Okay.
Yeah.
I swear it's like, but it says Mac apiary, and then I've seen him say Maccabees, and then when he's on the thing, it sounds to me, and my hearing's bad. That's where my veteran disability comes in. That it sounds like you're saying Macaberry. I'm like, well, pick a name, man, because I can't keep up with your name change. It's just my old ears.
Well, Bob, Tom and I is both on that line right between the north and the south, and depends on how you enunciate or enunciate your words, were you
Yeah, I mean,
understand correctly or not?
I only got to go 1.5 miles and it's hey you all.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mason Dixon. We're Mason Dixon
Yeah.
babies.
I'm only like 2 miles from the Ohio River.
Yeah.
So you
My
cross the
bees
river
can
and you can
fly
see
over
it
to
all, and then
Kentucky.
you're right in there.
I'm right in between the two big ones, the Ohio and the Mississippi. So I'm about 12 miles from the Ohio and about 60 miles from the Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm 2 miles from the Ohio River. I'm about a half mile from the Great Miami River, and I'm about a half 0.7 miles away from the Whitewater River. So I got 3 rivers within 2 miles of me.
Okay. Charlie, how's things going in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it's been kind of cool. It's last Friday or Saturday, I guess it was. It's about 45 degrees, and I went ahead and vaporized my hives with some oxalic acid. And the weather guy said today, next week, we might be looking at some snow coming in. So
Really?
I don't know. It's kind of a roller coaster ride right now.
Yeah, that's what we're getting to. We're getting warm, semi-warm temperatures during the day. Of course, compared to a lot of other people, you say, "Oh, that's pretty warm," right? But then it drops down to like freezing at night. So there's basically like 25, 30-degree temperature swing during a day.
Well, I think this weekend it might get up into the 50s, maybe close to 60, with some slight chances of some sprinkle rain on the weekend. And but then next week, he's talking maybe some snow. So we'll have to see.
We're looking like mid 60s next week, but now this Friday is showing we're going to be 79, then 62 for the low Friday night.
Hey, Shane.
Saturday it's supposed to hit 70 here, but like today it's or tomorrow it's supposed to be 57 for a high and 30 for a low, and then 59 and 38, and then it starts to warm up a little bit on the weekend where we're starting to get more of the consistent, 50s for a low, and then it's on. Whenever we start getting those consistent 45, 50-degree nights, then it starts up pretty fast here.
Well, this morning at, let's say, 8 o'clock, we had frost on the windshields here. Anything it was metal or whatever. So that's how cold it was. And it was windy all day today. Now, yesterday it was milder with no wind. You didn't mind working outside, but today it was really breezy. A little more damp.
I got a quick question for you, Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
You said you already ordered your hive lifter, right?
Yep.
Tim down at Gunline Bees says he needed to see a copy of that receipt. Actually, Hannah wants to see it, I believe. That way she can go ahead and get Tim to order that new dishwasher.
Yeah, I can email him I can email that to her.
He just needs to find one of those ones from the 70s, right? We had one where, and you guys probably remember these, where it wasn't under the sink. It was a standalone device you had to pull over and hook to your sink. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it had
was
like
on wheels.
Top on it. Yeah, it was on wheels.
My dad bought one for my mother like that.
There you go, Charlie. Tim says no rush.
That's
hey, the good deal out of it, when she does get that dishwasher, she has agreed to make a video by herself.
using the dishwasher.
There you go, Tim and Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. The proof of purchase.
Yeah, she said if she gets a dishwasher, she's going to make a video by herself now.
When it gets hooked up. She didn't say that, but she needs to.
I
No weather here. We're supposed to get 56 tomorrow and 60, 62, 58, 50. So I'm pretty sure by then our silver maple trees will be blooming because they're all big buds right now.
You know what I'm worried for you guys is that you guys get what we typically get, right? Right now, your weather's a lot like our weather, which is abnormal for you, but normal for us down here, right? So that late, freezing weather or snow that just would just pop in and drop on you for a day or something like that and mess everything up.
Our normal high is only 41, and we've been in the mid 40s to 50s, now 60s, the last 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And then the following week, I see up mid 40s, so not too bad.
Pardon me, Tom. My local forecast is they're forecasting 70 for here for Friday. That's when I plan on going to all my beats.
We're 62.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more north and east.
Right now here. So we're having some cool nights, but the days have been pretty nice. If the wind don't, like Charlie says, the wind don't blow too hard. It blew pretty hard today. It was pretty calm yesterday.
No, it's been calm here. We haven't had that wind.
We was a little windy yesterday, between 20 and 25, but today it calmed down.
I'm gonna grab a drink. I'll be right back, fellas.
So where's that last post you had? Where does he live at?
Jeremy, where you living?
Yeah.
I don't think I have him saved in my stuff.
I don't have him listed.
There's a Jeremy that lives in Texas someplace. I don't know if that's the one or not.
I got 3 Jeremys, but not
come
that one.
out. You'll have 12 frames of bees in there easily. Gonna double in size.
How about you, Charlie? You by chance seeing any drones?
No, I don't think so. No. I was in my hives.
Jeremy's down in Dothan, Alabama.
2 weeks ago. Oh, Alabama, or no wonder they're having slabs of brood. All I did was, it was 70 one day and 55 the next, and I went through some of my nukes and just pulled a frame up to make sure that they had honey in the frames, and they did. They had plenty of honey, and good amount, good population. And actually, one frame I did pull up in one of the nukes. One of the queens was on it, and but she wasn't laying or anything that I could see anything. Hey, Sandy. And so I just put it all back, put it back together. I just want to make sure I got plenty of food. And I did not go through all, I didn't go through, I went to 2 out of 10 or 12 of my honey production hives, and they were plenty of population, plenty of food. So, I'm not really digging into them. It's just like I was saying about this weather. It's 40s. Last Friday and Saturday of last week was 70 and 55, and after that it's in the 40s, and then they're talking about maybe snow next week. And I mean, there's too much of a roller coaster ride right now. Let's leave them alone. There's nothing you can do.
Well, that's kind of my attitude on them. I'm just checking them for food stores is all. I've popped the tops. I haven't been in them deep. So,
yeah, I mean, I've seen enough. I went through pretty much all my nukes, and they all had great food stores. And I went through, like I say, 2 of the 10 framers. They had plenty of food stores. So I'm confident the rest of them all have it. And I'll just wait till this weather kind of calms down a little bit. A little more warmer nighttime temps Right now it is 32 degrees. So, when it stays, let's say in the 40s at night, then it maybe, we can get into them a little bit more.
I was a little lucky. I got my bee filled a couple weeks ago when I had to pick up those 3 hives in that sub-freezing weather. So I had to go through, put all the frames back in the boxes, put the stand back together, put the bottom board back, all back on there. I got to scrape off all the dead bees were on there. So I did get that done, and then got them all back together. So I checked on them yesterday, and they're still doing good.
But Tom, it looked for me. I watched your video on that. Did you lose most of your bees in your bottom boxes and kept they was alive on top, or was that vice versa? Little of each.
And all 3 of them, the bees were in the top box. So the bottom boxes were empty, but the whole stand fell over. So I don't know what happened. So the whole boxes fell on the ground, and they were frozen to the ground when I was putting it all back together. Somehow the video got all messed up. I think my battery got too cold and didn't video very good because it was only 29 degrees, 28, 29 degrees when I did that.
Well, didn't you say that your hive stand kind of rolled over or something?
Yeah, the bar near the frame fell off the stand, tipped the whole boxes over.
But did you have your boxes all ratchet strapped together as a unit?
No.
Okay, so
I don't strap anything together.
So they busted open then.
Oh yeah, they were busted open. Frames fell out of some of the boxes, and on one of the hives, there's 4 frames stuck together, and the bees were in the center of those 4 frames. And we had 4 nights with 0 degrees or negative numbers. And the highest, I think, was 7 degrees during those 2 weeks. They were out for 6 days, and they did not die.
Well, I thought I seen you scraping dead bees off some of them bottom boards and stuff.
Yeah, I did lose probably 50%, 30% of the bees.
Yeah.
On 2 of them. One of them didn't have that many dead bees on it. 2 of them did. The 2 that fell apart the most. So I don't know if those came from the bottom box or not. They might have. But yeah. So I found out they can handle the cold weather. I don't know what. Well, I think it's starvation on most of the hives or moisture dripping on them for a lot of people. So that taught me a lot when that happened. I got my hives are sitting down in a lower area, and I got a natural windbreak, so I'm not sure how that stand came apart, how that got off the concrete blocks.
You don't have any
'Cause those
bigger
blocks had a
animals
little lip on them.
You don't have any bigger animals in your area that knock it over, huh?
We've had bear once about 12 years ago, cut through our right next to my property, within I don't know, quarter of a mile.
But you didn't see no
I don't
evidence
know.
of that? You didn't see no
There was
scratches
no
or
evidence
bites or
of
nothing?
anything,
Okay.
so I don't know what happened to it.
That sounded a little bit like Sasquatch damage to me. We got Sasquatch.
Right. Can you guys hear that background from me rumbling?
Mm-mm.
No.
I think I got to mute for a few minutes.
You got an earthquake in Ohio?
No, it's my wife's taking a bath, and for some reason that pipe echoes in this room.
I don't hear
I
nothing.
don't hear it.
I have to wait till the tub fills up.
Charlie, you're having a honey tasting on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, at our club. It's actually a social. We're gonna have but for better words, part of it's going to be a tasting contest, like a black jar.
Right.
And the fact that you bring your bottle and we wrap it up with some tin foil so nobody can see whose labels on it.
So then it just goes by taste. There's no bias.
Right. By taste. Then that next week is when I'll be putting out everybody who sent me creamed honey and all kinds of different runny honey from all over the country, along with like James up there in Canada and stuff. And we'll do that. And there's a couple people in our club that make mead. And they're gonna, they have mostly on that would be tastings or whatever, if you like that kind of stuff. And we find we had it last year, the same time, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a bust as far as anybody really showing up, but everybody showed up. Everybody had a lot of fun.
You could, you're the only place in the United States that could make Lake Mead. In Lake Mead in Maryland.
No.
The only Lake Mead I know of is in Nevada. We're talking
I
about
thought Lake Mead was in Maryland. Am I wrong?
Lake Mead in Nevada.
We got
Las Vegas.
We got the Army base.
Fort Meade.
So one Fort Meade. Up,
Fort Meade. That's what you could make it. Fort Meade.
Yep. So
I've done good. I don't think I've had any since Thanksgiving.
Okay.
If he'll focus. There he goes.
That's age to find perfection now.
A little over a year old. But I've been doing good. I got off all my sugar stuff, so I figured honey still had the sugar content.
Fort Meade. There you go. And that's good mead. That's some of the best mead I've had. Not that I've had a lot of mead, but that's some of the best mead that I've had. I think my cat is retarded. Why are you looking in the vent? Cat.
I think all cats are.
I was thinking that, Joey. I just didn't say it.
Looking in the vent and just letting
every
the warm
cat
air.
I've ever had around the house, I called it stupid.
What are you doing? You talking to me? What?
Sound like about to eat you up.
Come here. We'll give the people what they want. They want to see the fat cat.
Looks like my cat.
Well, I'll do a little fill in here, fellas. That fence, can you see the fence behind me?
Yep.
You heard me talking about the Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
I put that up, and it's working. I haven't had one Sasquatch in that apiary since I put that fence up.
Well, JD, I watched your video about all your feeders and stuff,
Yeah.
And I was looking at your farm. And what is it when you get out in the Midwest out there? Around here we have wooden fences and woven wire fences, but you all have pipe fences like out in Texas. Y'all know how no lumber out that way, or?
Well, I'll tell you what the situation is, Charlie. I was in the cattle business for 62 years, and I raised a lot of bulls, and them's all bull pens.
Okay.
If you want to keep them bulls under control all the time, you might want some pipe. But actually, I'm there's a pretty decent oil field here in Southern Illinois, and I can get a lot of 2-inch pipes. So when I had a lot of cattle, I did most of my lots out of and actually those posts you see there, those are railroad ties, and I broke cattle to shell. That was a round pen. I broke cattle in there to lead, and that's them's railroad ties with 1/2-inch cables. What that is, galvanized cable, just run through there, and that's where my Sasquatch pen is now. I tell people.
Okay,
I worked on a dairy farm when I was younger, and that guy had a big old bull. He didn't even have to try to push a fence down. He'd just keep on walking when he got to it. He never had to root on it or anything. He just walked right through like a bulldozer. He finally had to get rid of them because we was fixing fence every day.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what's happening here as far as the bees. There's not really, it's just been cold. Everybody's inside. And I was, like you say, lucky enough to get some OA mite treatment on them. And maybe I'll be able to do it again here in the next couple more weeks. And January, I wasn't able to, between the snow and going out to the expo and all that. It was just too cold. But I need to get out.
LAV'd last Thursday or Friday, I think. And
Actually, what I really need to do, I cleaned off that morning on a Saturday. It was cold. It was like 30, I don't know, let's say 35, 38 degrees. And I went through all the hives and I cleaned off all the chloroplast boards, scraped them clean. And then, like I say, after about 1 o'clock, it was got up to 45 and I did the OA. So I need to really go out there tomorrow and pull the chloroplast back and just kind of see what the mite drop is and see if there's that much, because last time I looked at it, it wasn't much. So, and
you actually use chloroplast, that plastic, like the
it's plastic. I call it plastic cardboard is what it is.
Yeah.
Corrugation that's plastic.
Yeah, I use that on my screen bottom.
You go around all your, when, there's right now with all the politicians, you got plenty of, a good crop of chloroplast out there that you can find in every street corner.
That's what I use a lot of them for. I use them in my screen bottom boards quite a bit. Now on top, I use what you call a bubble wrap, that shiny, it's kind of like bubble for, I use it underneath my migratory lids.
Yeah. Now I know Bob doesn't and Lee doesn't and Joey doesn't, but Tom, do you insulate the top of your hives for winter prep? Unmute.
Do what?
He's got to unmute.
Oh, you're muted, Tom.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I did for my wife. Yeah, I insulate my hives, but I leave my insulation on all year round.
Yeah, I was watching Darren up in Pennsylvania, and
yeah,
I've got Reflectex on mine.
Well, what I was getting at is I had some people around here were insulating, and I would put like the 1.5 to 2 inch styrofoam boards. And the way I had it in my mind is that they would put it on top of the inner cover and then put the telly on top of that. But I was watching Darren's video he put out, and what I liked about it was he took basically the idea of a shim and he put the insulation board in the shim and then maybe had a 1/2 inch or so gap between that and the top of the frames for the bees to be, well, you could put a pollen patty in there or something like that, or sugar if he need be. He was putting granulated sugar in, but I thought that was a pretty good idea. That way you just set that right on top of the hive, put your telecover on top of it, and it's completely covered and all that.
I do the same thing, Charlie. I only use 1 inch insulation. I build my own candy boards, and make the sugar hard by mixing it with a little pollen and water, and I actually even used a little honeybee healthy in it. And then I put the 1 inch insulation in the top of that board, and then on top of that I put the same stuff Ian Stepper uses. I call it bubble wrap,
Reflectex
or whatever.
Foamies.
That's what I use on mine. It seems to work pretty good. I don't get a lot of condensation.
No, I just been, I mean, I've got a licensed insulated hive and it doesn't have any upper ventilation. I've been researching all the different, actually this weekend, we're having the Maryland State meeting and having one of the guys that actually I had zoomed in to one of my meetings at my club, Bill Hesbeck, and he did a bunch of science experiments about it and talks about insulating and no upper ventilation and where it won't let the condensation come down on top of the bees. And I just like Darren's way of doing it. It just, you know, take the inner cover off, slap that on, put your other cover on, you know, your telly on, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, I see Sandy, she
Well,
had a, huh?
After all these years, I've customized my setup quite a lot. I insulate the bottom of my hives with solid bottom boards and that high density board. Then, starting around August, September, I shake all the bees down into a single box. And then I start feeding them in September, usually 1st of September, 2 to 1. And they're taking anywhere from 2 to 4 gallons per hive of 2 to 1 by sometime in December. This year, I didn't stop feeding them until the week before Christmas because it was still 50 degrees. And then I put a shim on each hive that I customly make, an inch and a half high shim. I put 2 3-pound sugar bricks that I make on in the shim, and then I put an insulation board on, and I put my lid back on, and all one singles. And I lost out of all my hives, I lose 2 or 3 per year. 3 last year, 2 this year.
Now, was that
And
because of,
all I do here then in about the end of March, 1st of April, I'll take that shim off, put a queen excluder on, and put a deep on top of it to start collecting honey.
and then what you figured that the hives that died, did they die because of food or moisture or just
They
died
both
because
died because they were too small.
too small?
They were only 1,000, 1,200 bees. They were really two small hives I had going into winter time.
Yeah, I mean,
All my regular hive production hives made it.
I got this one
You know,
dink of a nuke. I mean, it was the reason it's small was because of me, and I did not pull out the front entrance reducer. I forgot about it when I put Formic Pro on there, and it killed most of them. And there was some, I checked it here in that last video, and basically there was some bees in one little grouping where they had their heads first in, and it had sugar bricks on top for the last couple months. And what I've come to conclusion is when your cluster gets so small, it just does not have enough bees to reach any food that's up in the top of the frames. And I could see pretty much all the comb was pretty much, I mean, it had nectar in it when I fed them last fall, but they pretty much consumed all that. And
these hives were ones that when I queened in July and August, twice they both failed. And on the third time, which was September, they finally got their queen. So they were September queens, and they just never had a chance to build up enough of anything.
September around here. I mean, our weather is about the same as yours as far as being in Ohio, and that late in the season, there's not enough time for them to build up.
If they made it through winter, I was going to queen them. Because I had no faith that they got mated very well, but neither one of them made it. So I think I learned that next time if that ever happens again, that they're 0 for 2 and it takes 3 tries, I'll just pinch the queens and combine the bees to another hive.
Yeah, Shane, I watched Scotty up there. I haven't watched him in probably the last year or so. But in my configuration, as you see behind me there, I get old carpet from carpet layers, and I make, oh, I don't know, they're about 5 or 6 feet wide and 6 feet long, and it wraps around 3 sides and kind of laps over the top of the hive. And it's a windbreak, is what it is. It's not really for insulation at all. It's all about windbreak, because I know my area, and the wind blows from the back of those hives, and I've been using that for years. And I'm looking at all this insulation situation, and to be honest with you, I don't normally have problems with keeping hives alive for the most part. And as long as I feed them, and one year I remembered here, I had to put some sugar bricks on my nukes. Well, didn't feed all my hives to the point where I was leapfrogging the top hive feeders from one hive to the next. If there was feed left over a week or 4 or 5 days, which is sugar water, that meant that hive was totally full. And then the one that still was sucking it down, I would pour that sugar water into them. I kept doing that to all the hives. And I would leapfrog it to where, until they finally took all the sugar water. And when I do it that way, they normally do not run out of feed and all. And one year with my nukes, I didn't do it quite that way. The big hives I did. And I had to put some sugar bricks on. They were running out of food. So that's something that you got to really look at. Pull them frames up. If you don't see anything in the frames, those hives are starving. You need to get stuff on, sugar bricks on them or something, depending on the
There's
weather.
two I lost had sugar bricks, but every frame was empty.
Mhm.
No pollen, no nothing. I think the pollen really set them back.
Well, I was listening to a thing from West Virginia the night before I came on here, and he was talking about feeding pollen and pollen powder, all that stuff. And he said you didn't really want to, feed a tremendous amount of pollen, because you don't want them to be pollen bound to where she can't lay, stuff like that. And,
That'll happen naturally here with just the natural pollens that start coming in. But
well, he had a frame that was like I'll say a deep frame, which was just like a sheet of brood, but only it's pollen.
I've got some like that.
He said if you have one of those frames in that hive, that's all that hive really needs. And
that's going to get pulled and put in my queen starter finisher, right, for my grafts.
So that was one of the things. And then another thing he made mention was that it had to be like, in order to vaporize the hives with OA, I think he said it was 38 degrees, which I always say 40 to 45. I like 45. I used to say 47, 48. And by that time, the bees are starting to fly out. And I like to block the front entrance up with some styrofoam. And when they're at 45, they're not flying, in most cases. And or if they are, there's might be 5 or 6 bees. So you can really hit them good.
Well, you're speaking of that. If I can articulate this where you can understand it. I don't know. I've got a picture here. I don't know how to put it on the screen. I was going to see if my camera would pick it up. Lee, you can tell me. This is the only hive that I lost this year, and it was a little 5-frame double deep nuke. And I've got a picture here of how I found those bees. And I went through them. There was 874 individual bees. The queen was with them. And I'm going to show you the picture, and someone maybe can help me analyze what went awry.
Yeah.
Can't see it at all.
Pull your phone back and put it in front of your face.
Maybe, but I don't know if you can see it there or not. No.
Get it a little bit closer, but it has to cover your face up or it'll try to detect your
Okay.
face instead.
There you go. There.
Back it up right there. Whoa, stop. Tilt it or do something.
Okay, that's the way
There
I
you
found
go.
it. Now that insulation you see underneath that was on top of them, and there's screen wire on the bottom of that, and that's the candy board, and they were all, the frames are all empty beneath it. Wasn't nothing in the cells, and that's the nuke from last summer, and I treated those all late summer and winter, and checked them the 1st of December, and I had a 0.1 mite count, and fed them all winter. And during that cold spell, I assume they run out of food below, and they all moved up on that candy board, and it was cold up there that they froze to death. But the queen was with them. I think maybe she went bad because she wasn't a nice, it's hard to tell. They were all dead, but the cluster was just like you seen them right there in the corner of that top feeder shim in the top of that hive, and I had
And that was
above them.
That corner of the box that you found them in, was that where the sun rises in the morning? Maybe in that corner? They were trying to get heat?
No, actually, I had some actually open 5-frame deep boxes, no tops on them, no bottom. And that swarm moved into one of those box shells and built it. So I actually put them in a 5-frame. They built enough up by winter or by late summer actually, that I added a second 5-frame deep, to the nuke, and thought I had them good shape. And before that cold spell hit, I seen them flying, but they all clustered up right in the top of that. I think they probably froze to death there. And we had here a couple of weeks ago, we had 4 or 5 days of pretty cold temperatures down close to in the teens or in the zeros, and I think they actually froze to death. There just wasn't. I counted the bees, and there was 874 bees in that total hive. That's total.
With that few, they probably
froze.
froze.
Yeah, JW, the one I lost was similar to that. The bees were actually right in the center of my 3-pound sugar brick.
Yeah.
And it was about the same amount of bees, not 3 cups of bees.
Yeah.
And I think they just froze. They didn't have enough bees to keep them warm.
Well, they were all.
They had plenty of food. They were actually on the food, died, right? Just like that one.
But I they tested good for mites. What the mite load, I don't think, and they're a virus. I think they actually froze to death and got up there where they couldn't. Just wasn't enough bees to keep themselves, protected.
And they had moved off the frames up into that.
Yes.
Board.
Every bee was just like you seen it there. I had actually took the cluster apart and counted them and was looking to see if they still had a queen, which she was right in the middle of them. But
Did you mite shake those dead bees?
Yes, sir. I had one. I think it was the 2nd. I keep records of all that. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd of December. I'd done my last mite check, and I had only had one count mite in the last check that I had.
I just didn't know if you did it like after they died, do a shake off the corpses.
No, I didn't check any of the dead bees. In fact, I still got them. I don't know why, but I still got the bees.
Well, you figure it's a swarm, so you got the queen there, which is an old queen.
That's what I figured. Maybe she went bad.
She probably ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And then you only had 800 bees there, which is that's just small. There's just not enough power there for the heat and everything else.
I know in the end of October, I had almost 2 full 5-frame deeps of bees in that little colony.
Well,
so
that tells you mean they've been dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and she probably hasn't been laying anything. So she ran out. Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, I think my 2 September queens never laid at all. In fact, they might have still been 2 older virgin queens. never got mated.
Right.
What do you think, Joy? You're awful quiet.
I don't know, but they could have froze or either got cold and couldn't move and starved right there.
Yeah.
Right.
We keep Joey around for the
Little of
eye
both.
candy on the show.
Well, if you could see my little picture, which I know it wasn't very good, them bees was laying on. They were clustered on top of that sugar brick. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, they froze to death.
that's what I figure. But
I know why one froze to death for sure, and the other one I think was 50 fit was the same thing. They had a little bit more bees, but still not many. Maybe 4 cups of bees, 1,200 bees.
Joe, you said your hive were busting the seams. I was watching your video there. Look, were the other hives that didn't show on your video or what? I don't know. You were switch. What do you call it? Rotating your
There's
boxes.
some more I looked at today.
Well, Mr. Ed said you didn't do it.
That I looked at today. I didn't rotate.
Yeah. Is Mr. Ed in the chat? I didn't see him.
He was earlier, and he
I think he
went to bed.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to stay on the chat, but jump off the stream team.
Yeah, we on off the what team? Get out of here! Fired.
That's the second
Yard
time you
team.
said that.
I just didn't put the yard.
Almighty. We're much uglier than those guys.
Have a good one,
Still a
Tom.
stream.
Good night, Tom.
That's a generic name. They should come up with a better
The
name.
other thing is, you don't see any money flying up on top of the chat there.
Yeah,
Everybody,
we're the
Right,
dollar
yeah.
store of beekeeping chats over here. They save all the money for Wednesday night streams.
Yeah, Dennis, I like my Instavape too. It works good.
I've-
I still kept my original Larabi's 110 volt vape just for a backup if I ever drop it or something happens. But all I use is battery now.
I've been thinking more and more about ordering one of those.
what's that? One
Who
of the
knows?
battery operates? Yes.
I went through 38 hives last Thursday or Friday, Lee, in just a hair less than an hour.
It's quick.
And that was 4 grams on each hive.
But 4
Which
grams.
one are you using?
The regular Instavap, I haven't. I'm thinking about getting one of the new ones too. you
The
know.
compact?
Yeah,
I have the original battery one.
yeah.
James near a city.
I'm back out of the bush.
Must be.
Hey, Robert.
No
Yeah,
Indian.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
I was going to say I'm probably within about 20, say 30 minutes of White Court. I don't know if any of you guys know where that is.
Not a clue. Is it close to
No.
Dog River?
It's not close to anything. This is northern Alberta. Nothing's close to anything.
Well, I've been all on the Canadian series, Corner Gas, right? I've been watching that.
Oh yeah, that's in Saskatchewan.
Canadian $1. Woo! I'll put that in the gumball machine.
What is that?
And
57 cents?
I was going to say, you put that Canadian $1 in the gumball machine, you're only going to get half a gumball.
It's about, I think, 60 cents. Somewhere around there, 60, 65 cents, something like that. But let me
Bob's
see.
going to empty out his honey jar. He's going to convert it to Canadian money when he comes to Canada. He's going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, I may not have any money left by the time I get to Canada at this rate. I started doing math, which is not good when you're going on a trip.
Did you break
Right.
out
Math
the
is
fiddles?
hard.
Well, let's look at it this way. Renewing passports, $500 for 2 of them, right?
Wow.
Plane tickets, $2,200. So now I'm at $2,700, and then it was $880 for the hotel room, right? So I'm up close to $4,000, and haven't eaten at all, or drove to the airport, or stored the car for the week, right? So, yeah, kind
How
of
much for the motel rooms?
$880.
So that's what, $400 American?
No, that was US dollars.
That's about what I paid when we went to Kentucky for Nobby.
So, but it's going to be fun. It is what it is. It's money spent. Hopefully the tax man cometh before then and gives me my refund.
See, it would have been cheaper just to drive, Bob.
You're right. I just don't have the time off to drive. Otherwise, we would have. If I wasn't working, we would have drove. That way I could bring back so much more stuff.
Yeah, but then you would have crossed the border and you would have said, how bloody much am I paying for fuel?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to bring the truck.
Then you would have went back home and said, I can never complain about the price of fuel again.
But I would have been supporting the Canadian government with the fuel tax rate.
Yeah, well, Trudeau would thank you for that. Idiot.
You never know. You might have. Thank you, ECP. Might have came back with a bunch of gear in the back of the truck.
Well, let's just say I made sure I cleared off the credit card before I'm going to the BTEC conference.
Yeah, I got to do that because go ahead and I charged my flight, but I'm gonna go ahead and pay that off so I can see. It'll be my luck. I get to Canada and all my credit cards shut off because it's international, and I didn't call them ahead of time and say, "Hey, I'm going to Canada."
Well,
Yeah,
I kind of messed up and done that when we went to Kentucky. For some reason, I went on my phone app, my bank app on my phone, and done the travel advisory saying, hey, we were going to be out of town, where we were going. For some reason, I only hit Renee's card. So mine worked at 2 places on the way up there, and then it stopped
I think
working.
he designed that.
Well,
that way you only could use Renee's money.
It's coming out of the same account, but for some reason, I only hit her card, I guess, and it locked mine out.
Yeah, you're going to want to make sure that you let the telephone company and your bank and stuff like that know you're leaving the country for sure.
So it'll be fun. We're going to have fun up there, I think. Just hanging out. But I got that lunch this weekend down by Charleston, South Carolina. Bob Binney and Lewis Bartlett are going to be there. So we're going to go and check that out. And
right on.
It's really not. It's an open forum, so it's not even. They're not going to be giving any presentation. It's just a lunch, meet and greet, and ask them questions if you got any.
There you go.
So
Who's put that on?
Facebook, believe it or not, a group on Facebook I'm part of. It's actually called South Carolina Bee Nerds. So we're going to go hang out. Dennis said he's pre-called when he was in Dubai, and they still shut his card off.
I called into you guys were talking about survivability for the winter. I just called in to tell you that I went out to the apiary on Saturday, and 42 out of 42 colonies are still kicking. And matter of fact, I had two frame nukes that they were September swarms, and I swear they have more bees now than they did going into winter.
Yeah, they're probably. I mean, if you've had mild weather, they're probably starting to ramp up a bit.
Now, are you sure, Robert, that you went to your yard?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes, you went to the right spot there.
That's fair. I was probably in the neighbors. But yeah, 100% so far. Now, granted, it's still February and first week of February, but I was pretty happy. I put some liquid feed on them, some 2-to-1, and just about a half gallon, and just make sure they have enough to get them through the next few weeks, and then I'll put another half gallon on them.
Why are you using 2-to-1?
Because we're still having freezing temperature.
I was going to say they're going to store it, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's really more like 1.5 to 1, but yeah, that was my only somewhat concern. But at the same time, I don't really care if they store it as long as they have it available, because I just don't want them to starve out on me. Last year I had a couple starve outs, and I just don't want to chance that.
Well, if you're still getting freezing temperatures and you've got liquid high or 2-to-1 in there, they can't evaporate it off. But I'd be tempted more so to stick to the 1-to-1 or less than 1-to-1 that they can use and everything right now, and they won't store it. But food for thought. That's just a little bit of advice. That's all.
Yeah, that's good. I have never put liquid feed on in February before, and never even considered it. But I'm just this year I just don't want a chance losing them again. So I really haven't had any problem with any kind of water in the hives at all. So everything was pretty dry.
Perfect.
So
well,
I wasn't too worried about the liquid.
Yeah, if it works for you, carry on.
You can't argue with
success that works.
Yeah, I used the baggies. I can't remember the gentleman that suggested Bob Binney's, the 1 gallon Ziploc bags up in a feeder shim, and cut a couple slits in them, and we'll see what happens.
You must have been watching Natalie.
Yeah, I think that's Greg Rogers. Yeah. That's method.
Yep.
Yeah, Natalie just did one.
Yeah, he's a smart.
So that's all.
He knows
what
he's doing. He's a smart guy.
So how's Jack doing?
Good. I've been listening to you guys for a little while. I was trying to figure out this background thing, and finally got it.
He's sitting in the goldenrod.
Yeah. That was the end of last year, but yeah, but there's something besides my kitchen behind me.
It's all good. I got this.
Yeah.
That's behind me all the time.
Robert, are you still on there? I'm showing he's.
Yeah, I'm showing off.
I got a question for you before you leave. Do you live around Cardington or in Cardington?
Oh, sure.
Did you hear me? Do you live in Cardington?
Yeah, I live in Cardington. Yes, sir.
I helped drill borrow wells. It was right there in the middle of town, and back in 1961 or 2.
He was just a baby then.
I was -9
before my time.
I was -9, like the Canadians.
Are there still wells up there?
Yeah, we still have quite a few.
Yeah.
All right, so I got to bring JW out for a minute. We were having an age discussion one night, and since it's our stream, I'll tell you what he said. He said, guys, no offense, but I got hemorrhoids older than all y'all.
I think by his email address, I can tell what year he was born.
Yeah, you're correct.
You were about 2 years older than my dad was.
We have fun, so that's what it amounts to.
I wasn't going to say that in public. You put it out.
Yeah, I said it for you. See, there you go.
If you don't want it in public, don't say it around Bob.
Yeah, it's going to come back on you. Right, Robert?
So what's the weather like up your way?
Keep receipts on here,
Jack.
Yeah, Richard. I remember in North Louisiana when I was a kid, you go to my grandma's house and all you dialed was the last 4 digits of a phone number anywhere around there. You didn't dial a whole number.
Sure.
And Juanita picked it up and said, Juanita, give me the post office.
She pulled one wire out and put another wire in.
Yeah.
I had a good friend that used to work with back when it was Bell South, and she had some stories. They all listened in.
Oh yeah.
Like you did.
We had the party line, and that was the old crank phones. When I was a kid, we had the crank phones still. You'd get in there, and Juanita was the name of the gal that was at the switchboard, and you'd ring two longs and a short or whatever, and talk to the neighbor lady, and then when you'd hang up or the neighbor friend, you'd hear click, 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 click. Everybody on the line, and all the ladies would be nosing into your conversation. So
They had to get the gossip somehow, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, it's yesterday, this weekend was really nice. My bees were out flying, and I decided to put some dry sub out, and they took it. I got some hives that died last year. They were full of honey, some frames, and I have them out, and the cover's off just a little crack. Give them something to do besides rob each other. So they're going in there and robbing out some hives that I have left over from last year. And also, I know we're getting into the silver maples. They're going to start popping within the next 2 weeks. So I put like a quarter of a patty on each hive outside, half a patty on the 10 frames. So just a little something for them to feed the brood that she's probably building.
Yeah, I put some like a quarter patty on some of my nukes, and
Yeah.
like a half a patty or a third of a patty on my 10 framers, just to kind of see whether they would take it. I checked them here real quick on one of the nukes, and they were on it, but they really didn't devour it within a week.
Yeah, I think it's more something just to occupy them, right? Like right now.
Well, I kind of wonder whether or not it's just wasting my money, type of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but hope a quarter of a patty, half a patty is not. Even if it is wasted, it's not that much, right?
But they're going to eat it.
Yeah. The problem we had, Bob, even last year, it got really nice out the last 2 weeks of February and the first week of March, and then the weather crashed, and we went into a freeze for like 2 weeks, and everything, all the buds died, everything. So the season just got set back by like 3 weeks, and really hoping that don't happen this year.
I mean, this last year it was like that in 23, but it seems like I get that every year where it starts warming up, and then we get that, 2 years ago it was 75 on Wednesday, it snowed on Saturday, then Wednesday it was 70 again, and then it snowed the following Saturday.
Yeah,
so that's kind of how we get those fluctuations this time of year. So we just try to figure it out.
And I had, I guess it was this past summer, I'll say June, maybe close to July. And I'll say it was sort of a dry spell in rain wise. And I put some pollen patties on some of my nukes then, a small amount. And actually they consumed it better then than they do in the early spring. So I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Now you're talking about the actual pollen patties, are you, Charlie? Pollen patties.
Well, global pollen patties, but they, that's what I bought last year.
James, excuse me for stepping on you. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I bought 10 pounds last year. I bought 20 pounds this year, and it's got the Apis biologic in it and stuff. But I had some Man Lake stuff that, like you say, a year or two old, and they ate some of it, but a lot of it got pitched out in the grass.
Well, you bring that up, the Man Lake deal. I got the 2024 catalog from them this year, and I'm not a big fan of Man Lake products, so I don't order a lot from them. they've got a patty out now with the 8%. It's the reason I was asking. I didn't know if that was relatively new or that was no.
That is brand new at Nobby. I mean, they had released it, but they didn't have like a price on their website for it when they released it.
It's in the catalog.
I bought some when I was down in Mississippi of the Ultra B Plus patty that they had with the real pollen in it.
Yeah.
And that was before they started adding apis to it. So otherwise I would have bought that one.
Well, they're advertising it with the rocket fuel in it on their, in their catalog.
Yeah, everybody's getting on the bandwagon with rocket fuel.
Yeah, it's going to take over this year, I'm sure.
Yep, Mated Queen's prices have gone up this year as well.
Yeah, I think it's like 40 some.
I've seen $50. I've seen, $45. So another reason to get on the grafting train.
Yep.
I've got one for 10. Bob, if you're interested, I got one queen for $10.
The one in that clump in the box in the photo?
Yeah, that clump.
Our mated queens here look like they went up to 30 this year at my local commercial apiary. They were 25 for the past several years. Now they're 30.
Well, I've got my thing, I think, is more drone issues, right? We've kind of been talking about that. I think it's more about drones. Because even looking at my colonies now, there's not a whole lot of drone cells in the colonies. So it's like, if I do graft, then it's like, are they going to get mated well? Right. So it's one of those things.
Now, looking at my commercial apiary, last year or the year before, they were doing 185 for a 5-frame nuke. They've actually went down to 175 this year, though, but they're sold out.
Oh, speaking of that, let me bring this up. Have you looked at Man Lake is over $200 for their nukes now.
$200 is a cheap nuke in my area. They're going for $250. Some guys are asking $350 for a 5-frame nuke.
They're selling Saskatraz packages for $180 to $210. So you might as well say $210 unless you're buying enough to get that discount, right?
Yeah.
It's those are all packages. Those are not nukes. Those are package bees for $200.
Wow.
Yep. And let's see, Hawaiian bred Carniolans, $77 unless you're buying a ton of them and get them for $47.
What a deal.
Carniolan Queen, $78.50. Italian Queen, $78.50. That's at Man Lake. So I'm pretty sure if the other companies see what they're selling them for, they're probably going to bring theirs right up to it.
Yeah, but the problem with up in New Jersey up there, them nukes are so high. That's because they're Union nukes, right?
Union nukes.
That's right.
Man, they're not giving them away, are they?
They don't want to work.
Well, 3-pound package of bees from Daydant, $187.95.
I'm going to see if I can bring some Corey Stevens virgins into my operation this year.
So, yeah.
Either that or get some Mark Millers. They're Corey's too.
They're Corey's too. There's Charlie. There's a Virginia beekeepers down there. There's a woman down there. She sells. Somebody knows her. She sells Michael Palmer's, Corey Stevens.
What's her name?
I don't know. It's Virginia. It's Virginia Queen Breeders. I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it right away.
I don't know if y'all noticed it or not. If you remember Joe May, he was pretty active at one time. He's been pretty poorly. He's back in business, going full strong again. I noticed. So.
Yeah, I seen he put a video out the other day. I hadn't got to watch it.
So he says he's going to have queens again this year. He's got a little bit of everything.
Is that Virginia Queen Breeders Network?
Yes. Yep, that's it. I got 4 Palmer virgins off of her last year. They all got mated. I lost 3 of them over the winter. I still got 1 I'm holding on to, and I really hope it pulls through, because if it does, I'm definitely grafting from that one.
Well, what time we got? We're 10 o'clock. Actually, a little bit after 10 o'clock. We've put our 2 hours in, Lee.
2 hours and 2 minutes.
So, in case you guys don't know, that we actually do have some jobs. I know it seems like we don't have them as much as we go live, but
unfortunately,
I got a question. I'm going to bring this up when the Canadian guys are back on, when they're in.
Well, James was just on. He's a Canadian guy, but he just dipped out again.
The Formic Pro pads. I've been seeing a bunch of videos about that and doing some research, buying liquid formic acid and making your own pads. So I don't know. I wanted to talk to some of the Canadian guys about that.
Well, Charlie uses Formic Pro pads, or the store-bought ones, right? Charlie?
Yeah. Yep, there's a guy up in Manitoba who's doing it, and he's been doing it for a while. He runs like 1,500 hives, and been doing it for a while. And they don't sell that stuff in the U.S. You gotta buy it in Canada and have it
Vince
shipped.
says it's not legal in Canada to do that.
Not legal.
Doesn't mean it's not getting done. It's just not legal, right?
Is that like this? It's formic acid. It's 65% formic acid, and you put it on those pads that your meat comes with. You know, when you buy chicken and steak, those little
absorbent pads.
Yeah, those pads. You can buy those from a restaurant supply store, and that's all you need.
Brad says he's in the chat there.
I think you'd have to go to the VIP room to talk about this.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's like the slow release. Something.
Well, one of the things with Formic is I've never used it. I'll say that, but the reason I haven't used it is because of our temperatures here. But a lot of people say it's tough on the queens. So
I saw it on the internet, so it must be true.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Anyway, that's for another time.
Brad says he knows a few people in Manitoba that do it.
It's probably, yeah. Yep.
Oh, he says it is legal in Canada.
I thought so.
So.
Well, Brad, hopefully, I don't know whose chats are whose. I can't keep up all the time with who's doing what chat during the week.
Well, Lee and I on Tuesday nights alternate.
Okay.
Charlie's on Friday nights. I go live sometimes.
On Saturday. Right?
I go live sometimes on Saturday nights and on Monday nights. It just depends on, how I feel. If I don't feel like going, I don't go.
Then we got Gunline Bees on Sunday night, and I believe that Ricky Rourke with Horizontal Bees has kind of somewhat made it official. He's going to try to start going every Thursday now.
So there's a chat almost every night.
Yep.
Yeah, it normally is.
It's like an AA meeting.
Yep. That's it. We're going to have to start printing tokens up to hand out. 1 month, month No Life Beekeeping memberships.
My name's Jack. I'm a No Life Beekeeper.
We had somebody do that one time a little over a year ago. I think we was on about midnight, and they come in and said that.
Regressing in our conversation, what the heck is, I know mead is an alcoholic beverage, but I've not been privileged to it. What's
It's a honey wine.
it
Yep,
taste like? It's a honey wine, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes
Bas-
about as bad.
Honey, water, and yeast.
Yeast.
Okay, I've seen it. I mean, people, I'm not a teetotaler, but I'm not a big drinker. I didn't know if it tastes like whiskey or it tastes like rum. Or
You just don't worry about it getting a round pin there. You'll roll around in the middle of that round pin for a while.
Yeah.
It could be, depending on how it's made, it could be like a mild whiskey or a strong wine.
Okay. I've just never messed with anything like that. I used to make my own wine quite a bit and that type of stuff, but I'm not a big heavy drinker, especially in my old age. So
I made 5 gallons of it last year and put it in 2-ounce bottles and brought to Hive Life.
We drank 4 gallons of it at Hive Life.
Yeah, it come out. It was 14 3/4% alcohol.
We had to. It was cold out there in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's a good winter hobby and something to do with your high water content honey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got you.
Nah, DC, I'm not the one happy on meat. I think that was Bob.
I'm a lightweight when it comes to drinking.
Bob gives out discount codes when he has meat.
Where was it? Hold on. There you go. No life, no friends, no money, just honey. There you go.
Me.
That should be a patch.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and shut the live stream off for tonight. We appreciate you guys and enjoy your company as usual. And
Don't bug out.
What's that? What'd you say?
Don't Jack, not to bug out.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you guys on the next live stream.
Yeah,
Good
have
night.
a good one.
Good night,
See you,
y'all.
Andy.